started work on a project 7 years ago called 10 Women, and it was basically a response to me seeing another piece of theatre that really inspired me and kind of sparked lots of questions for me around, like, why do I feel the way I do about my body? Why do I have the kind of ideas that I have about myself? Are they mine? Did someone else give them to me? Did they relate to my culture? And it was kind of the beginning of this like big questioning process of like, why are we so image obsessed, and what does that do to us, and how does it affect our relationship with ourselves and how we relate to others? And yeah, so it's a good segue. That's kind of where this all sort of started, really. How do we make space for the nice stuff in life, but also the messy stuff? Like when you go through an experience that is very traumatic and your world falls apart for whatever reason, you realize that, you know, healing is not always pretty. You know, some of it is like deeply, deeply messy, and like, you know, you could use the word ugly and you could use the word destructive, and it feels like we have a culture that's like, you know, we want to see you pretty, we want to see your nice like Facebook airbrushed profile picture, like we don't want to see you having not had any sleep for 3 months because you've got insomnia and PTSD and you feel and look like shit, you know? So that's kind of been like that was initially one of the core messages of the show, is like, look, we can't just have like half of the world. We can't just be like, oh, let's look at the pretty sexy stuff, but oh, sorry, we don't want to see your like trauma or your cellulite. So I've been asking myself a lot, like, who is this for? Like, who am I making it for? Am I making it for other survivors of, you know, domestic abuse or sexual violence, regardless of gender? Am I specifically making it for other people identifying as women in their relationships to their bodies in relation to gender and culture? Am I making it for anybody and everybody who's ever struggled with their mental health? And I've kind of gone through these like loops, and eventually I've come round to, it is for anybody who has specific experience of these things, because that community feels underrepresented in our culture, and that those experiences, it still feels taboo to talk about having been raped or to talk about having been in a domestic abusive, domestic violent relationship. Like, it still feels like there are a lot of ways that our culture internally and externally censors those conversations. So it's definitely, the show is definitely for people who've experienced those things, people who've experienced domestic violence, sexual violence. It's for them, and it's like representative of needing more voice for them. And then it's also for anybody and everybody who's a human. So I guess, what do I want my audience to take away from it? I want to remind them that this shit is happening. So I want to remind people that, you know, sexual violence and domestic violence and gender-based violence are still rife, and it's still going on. And even though we've got more conversations around it now perhaps than we had 5 years ago or 10 years ago, it's still happening, and it's still happening a lot. And through COVID lockdowns, like death via domestic violence and sexual violence skyrocketed, and we're not really talking about that, and it's not in the media, and nobody's really naming that. So I want my audience to be reminded that this is a problem, that is a cultural problem that we are all responsible for on some level, and that we all need to contribute to changing. So I'd like to remind us all, including myself, of like, what is it to be a human in the world? That a lot of the problems are about the system that we're living in, and invite people to keep questioning that, and keep challenging that, and keep pushing against it, and keep making a noise about the stuff culturally that we're taught or given or expected to do that's not healthy, that is helping us to be unwell rather than be well. Yeah, making this show is like the hardest thing I've ever chosen to do as an artist and a human, I think. Like, the journey itself of kind of healing and navigating my experiences in relation to sexual violence or domestic violence has been harder, for sure, in many ways. but yeah, then like choosing to talk about those experiences, share those experiences, be open and transparent about those experiences on a stage with an audience. Mine, my body. I am oscillating between having moments, like I had a moment yesterday when I was like, oh my God, this project is going to be amazing, the show's going to be great, I can't wait for opening night, I can't wait to share it with an audience. So I have moments of like really joyous anticipation and like really looking forward to it, and then the polar opposite of that where I'm like, oh my God, it's April today, it's the 1st of April today, and now I was like, it's April, oh my God, my show's in April. I haven't finished even making it yet. Never mind learning it, like, and so I have moments where I'm like, it's never gonna happen, I'm not ready, it's not gonna be possible, we don't have enough time, maybe we should cancel it, like, and it is quite polarized. And occasionally there's a middle ground where I'm like, it's okay, I've got some time, we're gonna get there, you know, this is possible. So yeah, of the full spectrum of excitement, anticipation, terror, and the occasional kind of middle space of like grounded, balancing, holding both of like, I'm looking forward to this, and it's scary, and we've got time, and I've got a good team. Yeah, pretty much everything, all the things. All right, come and sit with me through an hour and 45 minutes of like real pain, real joy, real loss, real depth, real struggle. Like, come and sit with me through real, because that's what I'm craving more of, I think, in the world. Yeah.